might take multiple follow-ups, multiple exposures to a certain individual because you have yet to master the personality conversation. And that's okay. That's okay. I believe that everyone has a home here in ACN. It's just that they need to see it the way they need to see it. Does that make sense so far? Right? So it might take multiple exposures. It might take multiple follow-ups. And to be quite honest with you, I thank God every day for Senior Vice President Patrick Mazer for having the courage, the persistence, and the professionalism in following up with my husband for 5 years. My husband said no to ACN for 5 years, guys. The fortune is in the follow-up.
Fortune is in the follow-up, everybody. And you get involved in this business, and you find out that there's a bunch of amateurs in this industry. And you see that people have been shown the business the wrong way. And other people have gotten involved, and they told people, I'm going to the top, and then they quit when they heard no 2 times. So you schedule a whole meeting, and there's individuals that come to your meeting, and they like what they see, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking to themselves, is he still going to be doing this 3 months from now? And they don't tell you that, they make an excuse, they make a justification, but at the end of the day, they're watching you. They see what you're going to do. And the reason I know this is I was that person. See, I was the Nextel cell phone store owner-operator that said no to Patrick Mazer for 5 years. But Patrick Mazer, he was my Roger Bannister. And for people that don't know Roger's story, he was the first person in history to run the 4-minute mile. He said it was scientifically and medically impossible that somebody would have a heart attack and die. And along comes Roger, and he studies his stride, and he breaks the 4-minute mile barrier, and it was amazing. But what was even more incredible is since that time, 1,400 plus people have done the same thing. Now, who would agree gravity didn't change? One person showed that it was possible. It took one example. And you and I are going to have to be that example for some people. And some IBOs come up to me sometimes. They're like, hey, Jeff, I ran out of people. Can you teach me how to cold market? I can teach you how to cold market, but first, let me teach you about your gold market. So your gold market are all the people you've shown the business to that some that haven't gotten involved yet. And some of them don't even know you're still doing this business. And the fact that you're here this weekend is further than what most of them thought that you were ever going to go out and do. And circumstances change in people's lives, just like they did for me. And some of those people are waiting for your follow-up call, waiting for you to tell them what's going on with you and what's going on with ACN. And the biggest key to this business is the exposures. You see, it's not about the yeses and the nos. It is, but it isn't. But if you can condition your mind to detach the emotions from the yeses and the nos and focus on the exposures, everything's going to work out for you. So you can't control what your downline does. You can't control what your upline does. All you can control is what you do. And when you're working on yourself, you want to work on 2 things. Number 1, becoming the leader that people want to follow. And number 2 is mastering personal recruiting. See, you're the GM of your own sports team. And understand you can only put the players on the field that you have on your roster. But at the end of the season, what does a GM do? They're drafting, they're recruiting, they're making the team better, and your job is to do the same thing right here in this business. And you got to go out and control your emotions by making recruiting a game. And see, when I think of recruiting, I think about having a bucket of 100 oysters. And if somebody gave you a bucket of 100 oysters, and they said in that bucket, there's 3 of those oysters that have a pearl in it, the other 97 don't, go find the pearls. What would you do? Would you reach down in the bucket, grab the first oyster, no pearl, start to pray for that pearl, start to rub on that pearl, start to do circles saying, why don't you have a pearl, why don't you have a pearl, why don't you have the pearl? No. But some of you are building your ACN business that way. See, here's what you got to do. You got to dig into that bucket. You got to open up that oyster, no pearl, shuck it over your shoulder, and keep digging, and keep digging, and keep shucking, because you're looking for those pearls. And I'm going to teach you something today that my mentor taught me to help me go Platinum Regional Vice President. See, he told me to get my mindset right to make a grid of 100 different squares. And when he told me, he says, your job is to fill every one of those 100 squares with a personal prospect. Not your downline's prospect, your prospect. And as you fill those 100 different squares, he said, Jeff, somewhere on those 100, you're going to find some pearls. I just can't tell you what number it's going to be. Might be number 50, might be number 91, but you're gonna find some pearls. And he said your job is, every time you personally show a prospect the business, that person gets their own square. And you wanna write on the square their name, their phone number, the date you showed them the business, what happened, and he said always leave a space to follow up with them. And understand this, your job is to go through those 100, and again, you don't know where the pearl is going to come from. Is everybody catching this philosophy? See, the first time that I went out and did this, it changed my perspective. And I remember I'd come home at night, on a night where I got some rejections, and instead of being upset about the rejections, I was excited because I was filling up another square on my grid. I was getting closer to my 100 squares, and also realized you want to follow up with people every 60 to 90 days with updates. Updates on any milestones you hit, any promotions that you've hit, and anything new that's happening with the company. And let me tell you this, when you hear the announcements tomorrow, every single one of you is going to want to follow up with people. So here's what I would do. When you leave here this weekend, I would go out and buy a poster board and go home and put a grid together of 100 squares. And what you want to go out and do is you want to put down first every person that you've personally shown the business to. Put them all out there. Not your downline's guest, not anybody else's guest, just your guest. And for some of you, you're going to have a reality check. See, some of you came to this weekend thinking, why is this business not working for me? And when you fill out your grid of 100, you're going to realize you've only shown the business to 11 people. And you're going to realize you've got 89 more squares to go. See, when you can change your perspective, you can go out and change your business. But you got to go out and you got to follow up with people. See, here's what I would say. Every square you filled out so far, I would make a phone call this weekend afterwards, and I would read a follow-up script that goes something like this. Hey Bob, it's Jeff. Hey Bob, you remember when you came to my house to see the presentation on that phone and electricity thing? See, I'm just calling you to apologize to you. And at this moment, they're going to think I knew it, he was going to quit. But instead, you're like, I'm going to apologize to you because when you came out to take a look at that business, I had no idea the power of what I had a hold of. But let me tell you this business is changing my life. I have X amount of reps. I have X amount of customers. I've hit this amount of promotions. I've hit this particular position. And the company just did some things. And then you're going to put in there, insert what you learn tomorrow. Does that make sense? And then you're going to say, I know that circumstances sometimes change in people's lives, and I just wanted to call to see if you might be open to reevaluating this for yourself. And not every person that you call is going to say yes. And if they say no, it's okay. Say, do I have permission to follow up with you in another 90 days just to update you on my progress? And if they say no, X them out. But if they say yes, follow up, follow up, follow up. But for the people that say yes, when they come back out again to see it again, seeing that you're still in the game, so many of those people, when they see it again, are going to say, I'm in. And I know that some of you look at us up on the stage, you see the SVPs, the COCs, the RVPs, and you think that every person that we show the business to says yes to us. But I'm going to share some stories from my grids to really give you guys the reality of this business. See, my last 100 square grid personally, I'll always remember square number 1. See, square number 1, I joined the B&I group, which is a business networking group to connect with professionals. And I met a guy named Joe. I showed him the business. He signed up. He had one home meeting ever. And at his meeting, one guy showed up. And that one guy said, you got 15 minutes. I said, let's go. And 15 minutes later, he said, I like what I see. I think I'll see you Saturday. And Saturday morning, Tony Parenti showed up, signed up, and today he's a regional director in our team. Square number 2, a random girl I meet at a store, pay her a compliment. Do you look at other ways of making money? She says yes, signs up, has one home meeting, and then she quits. But at her home meeting, we found executive team leader, Betsy Escobar. And I'm thinking to myself at this point, I'm on fire. I'm 2 for 2. I'm the man. I got the Midas touch. It's all me. But then reality hit me fast because the next 26 exposures, the next 26 squares in a row, all 26 of them were no's. But it wasn't about the no's, it was the exposures. But let me tell you about this, square 29. See, square 29 was my friend, Billy 40. Comes to a home meeting, says, Jeff, it's not for me, but I'll be your customer. I went to his house the next day, brought him breakfast, signed him up for residential electric and business electric, and as soon as we did it, which took like 10 minutes, he was like, is it really that simple? I go, yeah, go give me the app, I'm in. And today, Billy has over 900 customer points on his team and is literally on the cusp of regional director. Another exposure. Square number 31. So on the back of my car, it says, do you want to fire your boss? Call. And I'm driving down 95 in Rhode Island, and I see this guy chasing me. And he's chasing me. And I get a phone call. This guy's like, I've been chasing you for 2 miles. I go, I know. And he goes, look, I want to see what you're doing. I got to learn what you're doing. We met the next day. He's fired up. He's like, I'm going to kill this thing. I'm going all the way. I'm signing up on Saturday, bringing my wife. She's signed up too. I'll see you Saturday. Saturday comes around. He's nowhere to be found. Never heard from him again in my life. But you know what? It's another exposure. Square number 40. I do this personal development event. Tony Robbins, walking on burning coals. And I meet this girl named Kara. And she was phenomenal. I was like, this is definitely my pearl. And I invite her to a meeting, and she says no. And I follow up with her for 4 years until she says, I'll be there. And she signs up, registers for the convention, has one home meeting. I'm like, this is my pearl. But instead, she quit. But it was another exposure. Square number 50. I meet a pastor named William. And William says, not for me. And I follow up with him for 1.5 years. And 1.5 years later, I get him to come to the Charlotte National Convention. And he goes to the convention, calls his friend Tanya and says, I found it. And Tanya was regional director Tanya Randall. It led to regional director Roberta Hosky. It led to regional director Chris and Fola Bamboye. And it was another exposure. And I go to a friend's wedding. And I'm sitting at a table, Melissa and I, with this couple, Tom and Amy. We met there at the wedding. We connect, great conversations, invite them out to lunch, show them ACN. They say, we like it, but it's not for us. A year later, we're at a real estate convention in Vegas, and we see this couple. And Tom and Amy come to a presentation with SVP Mike Mazur the next day. They sign up. They both go ETL in 30 days, and they're walking the stage tomorrow. Square number 59 is an attorney that's in my BNI networking group. Says, Jeff, I need to know more about what you do. I go, great. I show him the business. He says, I like it, but I need more details. I show him the details. He says, I like it, but I need to know more about the services. We meet the next day. He says, I like it, but I got to understand the comp plan. What is he? And that's it. And I show him the comp plan, and finally he's like, I'm in. And today is square number 59. Mike Fontaine is here as an executive team leader today. Square number 64, I'm out to dinner with Melissa for her birthday, and during her birthday dinner, our waitress literally quits her job in the middle of dinner. We see her on the side of the road flinging a cigarette and then walking down the street. And we have no service for 45 minutes from anybody. And I asked to speak to a manager. The manager comes out, makes a bad situation into a good situation. We connect with them. My wife edifies me, talks about mentorship. And on January 1st this year, I get a text from Joe Calderon saying, Jeff, I'm looking for mentorship. When can we meet up? And Joe got started and introduced his buddy Zachariah, who in September was the #2 ETL in all of ACN. Square number 80. I'm at a bar watching a football game. Melissa has a Project Feeding Kids shirt on. And a woman says, I want to know about feeding kids. We invite her out to a presentation. She said, it's not for me, but I love the cause. And she did Dish Network, electricity. She did multiple cell phone services, and it's another exposure. Number 78 led us to Camone Reed. Number 91, I'm cold calling real estate agents in the town where we do our training in, because I think they're great candidates. And I get hung up on, and hung up on, and hung up on, and then I get Cheryl Zalewski on the phone. And Cheryl gets started in the business, introduces her mentor, Sarah. They're both walking the stage tomorrow. Guys, it's all about the exposures. Previous grids that I did led to 100-point champion, Julie and Dan Hoying. Happy birthday, Julie. Previous grids that I went through led to regional director Bill Simons. Previous grids that I went to led to about to be regional vice presidents Ken and Susie Potter. And I was sitting there talking to Ken just the other day, and he said, Jeff, the first time Susie and I did your 100-square grid, we went regional director. The second time we did it, we broke 3 regional directors, but I got one more story for you guys. And I called this woman named Beth, and she says, Jeff, I can't believe you're calling me. I was on my hands and knees praying just earlier on that something was going to change, and you called me. And Beth came to the presentation, and she signed up. And then she had a meeting. We met a girl named Jan who signed up. And Jane had a presentation, and her friend Jessie signed up, and Jessie had a presentation, and at Jessie's presentation, I just happened to meet the most beautiful and amazing wife ever, Melissa Street. See, the 100-square grid can't just advance your business, it can significantly enhance your life. But imagine this. Imagine if I hadn't done that one last follow-up call. Imagine if I let the emotions get the best of me. Do you understand the importance of shucking through those oysters, looking for those pearls? Do you understand the importance of mastering your emotions? And can you understand and imagine that some people quit when they're just 1 square away from that pearl that leads to a mine of diamonds? See, never give up on your dreams, everybody. Here's what you got to do. Schedule a home meeting, dig through those oysters, fill up those squares, keep shucking, keep digging, look for your pearls, and we'll see you in 2020. We love you, ACN.
Clean energy, positive energy.